Yo, what's up, everybody? Happy 2022, I think. Whatever fucking year it is. Hope y'all have some exciting stuff lined up for this year. I sure hope that I do. I've been waiting to kind of take it back to the reason I basically made this channel to begin with. I've been waiting for a long time to go into this Ibogaine program. Um, I've been tapering off methadone the past year. It has been kind of a living hell. Um, and the first step that I have to do to go into this program, which has made it like so fucking difficult, is because methadone is such a long-acting opiate. It's uh, they recommend that you go onto a shorter-acting opiate before going into this treatment, because the withdrawal from methadone can be brutally long. So it's pretty much to assure that I can get through the withdrawal period without blowing my brains out. And then like after I transition to morphine for 2 months or so, then the ibogaine will help get through this kind of condensed withdrawal period. But how doctors in America are. My doctor had originally said he would prescribe me, this, knowing after talking in this program, knowing that it's part of the treatment. But has how a lot of these doctors in America work. It's all about money, and they don't want to do anything to ruin their reputations, even if it means like somebody may end up like fucking up their entire life or dying, like whatever. But I guess giving a 30-year-old morphine, well, I guess I'm 33 now, but it's usually reserved for people who are like cancer patients or that kind of thing. But if they really knew anything about addiction, they would know that it's really not a risk. Somebody taking 100 milligrams of morphine that's been on 160 milligrams of methadone for the past 6 years. I don't think like the dose I would be taking in a day. I think hell would freeze over probably before I overdosed from that. More likely it would just barely get me through the day. But anyways, so fortunately, the program that I'm going to, which was originally going to be in Portugal, is opening a center in Baja, Mexico, where it's much easier to get prescriptions. So that's where I'm hoping to be going. They're supposed to open January 11th, so I'm kind of trying to figure it. They've been figuring it out as we've been going. They've been trying to get this place open, but hopefully pretty soon I'll be able to take a trip to sunny Baja, Mexico, and I'll take y'all with me. But I guess I've been kind of getting into the fun side of these wild stories. Before jumping into like the bulk of what I'm dealing with now, I'd like to kind of progress a little bit in my story of life. I guess so far it's been kind of all fun and wild times that. Easygoing wild times. And I guess later in my high school career is when it started to get a little bit darker, and things started to take kind of a sinister turn. And I guess the early days, when we would just be fucking around and skateboarding, listening to punk rock, and then even we started smoking weed. We'd smoke weed every day, have a blast, laugh, all through class, and it was all good. And we started getting crazy. We'd play all these shows, and my friends started drinking pretty heavily. I started drinking somewhat, but like I was still a little bit of a lightweight. Weed was always more my thing. Well, at least until like get into like alcoholism later on, but we would have like these shows, and earlier on it would be kind of like, I think as high school progressed, we'd play more kind of like party type scenarios. We'd still play shows at venues, but like we'd have friends that would throw parties, and we would have these crazy shows. and like sometimes we would like if we'd spend the night at a place, we'd wake up, get really stoned. We'd do this thing where we go to Old Country Buffet, and just keep eating and eating and eating, like from breakfast to lunch, where they make the transition to the next meal, and just keep eating and eating, and we would keep eating until the last of us didn't puke, and like that would be kind of the winner of the competition. But it would always end in us like in the alley, all puking up a bunch of macaroni and cheese and uh, what Jello and whatnot. But yeah, so I mean, I think as we started to kind of trying to push the limit a little bit, we started um, trying mushrooms a couple of times, and I always had a bad trip. I never enjoyed the mushrooms in those days. Um, and then when my friends kind of started drinking more, and like I would just always end up puking. It was a little intimidating, high school. Like you try and um, be like keep up with your dudes, and maybe some of this was in my head, but I think through a lot of processing, it's kind of what I think was some of the spark that led to some of the problems that I had. I think I kind of felt like I would try the shrooms a couple times, like maybe once it started to go good for a little bit, and then quickly went downhill. So I think the process kind of started going on in my head where I was like, "Fuck, I need something, I guess, to like keep me up in this race, keep me on, um, keep me in the game, kind of." And that's when I found cocaine. And, it kind of conveniently came along when I think I decided I'd want to do it first, but I mean, the first time that we got cocaine, there was 30 of us waiting at Fort Reno for like one dude to arrive, and like um, we all like we bought like a gram maybe, and all crowded into this staircase. One dude's cooking it up in an Altoid tin. Um, it was that time was pretty goofy, but I continued to do it more and more regularly. And I think even though it caused me a good amount of anxiety, like the feeling was kind of I don't know. I don't want to say it was like bliss or anything, but it was it was enticing to chase it, and it made parties I guess a little bit easy for me at first because I don't know. I guess I wasn't really. I liked more the kind of daytime chill in the woods with a blunt type thing than being around all these people, like constant conversation. But even the cocaine made that eventually more stressful because it just like it made my mind race faster than I could really keep up with. But so like I started doing it like every weekend, and then I would like by my senior year I would start doing it like during school. Definitely during our shows, I'm trying to play speed metal on drums and just trying to get as cranked as I can. Then sometimes if I got too cranked and like my heart would start pounding, somebody would come and pass me a bowl like during our set to calm me back down. But that ended up being, like the high school at the end, like cocaine was becoming problematic. I remember the point waking up and being like, the day I realized I had lost control, and like at this point it felt like it wasn't up to me, like I wasn't deciding to do something fun anymore. It was like, this is what's going to happen, and so that that kind of happened for a little while. Then we started taking ecstasy, started taking painkillers. Don't think I really got into heroin too much until after high school. But that's a whole nother story that I'll get into. But yeah, I mean that was and like I guess there was a point where I think with drugs I was worse than my friends, but we all kind of like just started kind of like going off the deep end at some point. All our parents of our close knit group of friends would get together and be like have these meetings where they would decide that like our children are out of control and that decide what the fuck they're gonna do about it. I went to therapy a couple times. But drug addicts are master manipulators. Not something I try to do, but what like in therapy in high school when they're trying, my parents are trying, they didn't know how to deal with it. They'd throw me on this dude, and they try and talk to me, to figure out if I have problems, and I'm able to convince them that I don't. I'm just a normal high school dude that is doing what high school kids do. So, I was able to avoid that, but I did end up getting in trouble. I started selling drugs when I was at like about 18. I got my first arrest when I was my senior year as well. So shit progressed quickly. And we had lots of good times in high school. But I also made some mistakes that still I'm still dealing with the consequences of today. So if any high schoolers happen to be watching this, I guess the lesson that can be taken from it is to just try to maintain balance, because like if you get used to living in excess early on, your brain starts to when it's developing, that's where it's starting to build the tools that you use for the rest of your life. And I've been trying to find balance ever since. I've come a long ways, but it's something that you have to put work into every day. So yeah, that's pretty much, I guess, the gist of what I was trying to portray today. Next week we'll probably get back to we've got some more famous people stories. So yeah, there were still lots of good times, lots of crazy shit, but yeah, it does start to kind of take a darker turn the longer it goes on, even more after high school, which you guys will see. But like, I'm glad that I was able to express that part of my life. I guess junior year, senior year, there weren't still plenty of like funny times. Some of them probably other people didn't think were as funny as we did. Yeah, because I was always trying to like, I didn't want to be crazy and like have all these problems. I wanted to be like the cool kind of rock stars that just kind of play it off, and I wanted to be a regular kid too, but in some ways felt like I grew up pretty fast and was dealing with some pretty adult problems early on, but that's life, and you learn from all of them. I still would say I wouldn't regret anything, because everything that happens in life is brings you to the person that you are today. So who knows what would have happened if I would have changed any of it. But here I am today. Next week we'll probably, in the next couple weeks, we'll go a little further in this chronology and see how things kind of shaped up as the years went on. And then hopefully I'll hear back from this program soon, because shit has been harder and harder. I feel like the longer I've been tapering off methadone, I have less and less energy each day. COVID has made this a lot more complicated with the traveling and stuff. So, and it's been pretty stressful. Like, a lot of up in the air kind of stuff. I was like in the beginning, I thought this whole process would have been done a long time ago. But I'm par for the course, and like I've been getting excited about finally being able to make changes in my life, because the reality of heroin addiction, and even though the last 6 years I've been on methadone, it's not the kind of like crazy fun in the way that I would have like in high school. It's crazy in a different way. I've lived under bridges. I've gotten my ass kicked by gangs, police. You name it, all sorts of crazy shit, but y'all will hear about that eventually. Hope you all have been enjoying this. Stay tuned, there's going to be more. Hopefully this year it's going to be a lot of crazy shit. I'm signing out. See you guys next week.